All right. Feeney Talks with Friends, episode 112, Where the Players Dwell.
There you go.
What's up, Jonah?
What's going on, man? Thanks for having me.
This is going to be great. We're here with Jonah Francis, Dementia Practitioner.
Yes.
That's a very interesting title. I've never had a dementia practitioner on my show before. I'm very excited to speak with you.
Oh, I appreciate it. I'm happy to be here. I think it's been a while, so I'm happy to finally get it going. And in terms of the dementia practitioner, I just think it means consistent with education and following the practice and just keeping up to date so you can help people as best as possible. That's what I think it means.
All right. We're going to get more into that, so stick around. My name is Eric Feeney, founder and president of Friends of Feeney. Our mission is to help children and families that need assistance after heartbreak or tragedy. And I use this podcast, Feeney Talks with Friends, and I talk to wonderful people in the community that are doing great things. And Jonah Francis does wonderful things. Congratulations. Huge congratulations to my friend Jonah. What am I going to congratulate you on? There's a couple things.
I mean,
which one should I congratulate you on first?
The only thing I'm thinking about is my daughter.
Okay. Yep.
She came into this world in March, 2 days after my birthday. So we're both Pisces. So that's the only thing that's on my mind right now.
And what's her name?
Her name is Zuri.
Zuri.
Yes.
Congratulations, Dad. But you already had a 2-year-old, right?
I do. He turns 2 in a week. His name's Josiah.
Josiah. So you're playing zone defense. Now you're playing man-to-man defense.
Oof. Yeah.
Are you in the prevent defense yet?
Nah, not. Well, yeah, with Josiah. And then, staying up throughout the night with Zuri. I think we're scramble defense right now. Whatever we can stop and prevent.
That's a beautiful name. Where'd you get Zuri?
It's all the credit goes to my wonderful fiancee Shanique. She thought of the name. She loves the name. I love the name. So we decided to go with Zuri. What we try to do is give both of our children names that mean something. So Zuri A.S.A. Francis.
Okay.
And altogether it means beautiful gift from God.
I love it. Very nice. My daughter's Neela. That means champion.
Yeah.
Neela, named after Cornelius, my wife's grandfather. She didn't want to be in the shot, but she's in the shot. There she is. Say hi, Neela. Hey, Neela.
Hey, Neela.
Neela's here. Neela's here, everybody. And then another huge congratulations. Well, congratulations, Neela's here, too. Congratulations, 40 under 40.
Oh.
Wow. That's cool.
Yeah.
How's that feel?
It feels great. Not as good as being dad, but it feels damn good. It feels damn good.
Yeah. My wife won that in 2018.
Hey.
So, yeah, congrats. That's so cool.
Thank you.
I read it at Hartford Business Journal. They do it every year. They pick 40 people that are under the age of 40 that do great things. And I read a little bit. So you earned it from being on a board of the ALZ.
Yeah, Alzheimer's Association.
The Alzheimer's Association.
Specifically the Connecticut chapter.
Are you the vice president?
No, just a board member.
Board member of that.
Yep, for the association.
But you're the vice chair of Homecare Association of America.
Yes, specifically the Connecticut chapter.
Gotcha.
So both are national organizations. Alzheimer's Association is the #1 research-funded organization in the world. Actually, number 3, second to the Chinese government and the United States government. There's the Alzheimer's Association, and then the Homecare Association is also a national organization. So that's why we have all the different chapters. So I'm the vice chairman here in Connecticut.
Very nice. How long you been doing that?
2 years now. The Alzheimer's Association, I think right around the same time for the both.
And very cool. Dennis House is the host. Watched your video. Dennis House gave you a special shout out.
That was my guy.
Right? How's that? What's that connection?
So back in the day, one of the goals was to be a sports media journalist. So I spent a lot of time with Dennis, Joe Zone, John Holt, some real MVPs in the game, some real legends within the sports media game. And I did that for 3.5 years. So I spent a lot of time with Dennis. And, I pretty much came under him. I ran prompters for him, took a lot of advice from him. So it was really a cool moment, full circle, if you will, going from I sacrificed a career to something that just helped my mom. And it's turned into the best thing I've ever done with my life.
Wow. Yeah, Dennis, go back and watch episode 25. He was a guest. He's a great, great guy. And now, speaking of your mom, Pansey.
Yes.
And then you named your company Pansey, right? Pansey?
So she named her company.
Oh.
She named her company Pansey, to which I'm also, we're equal owners of the organization. But it started with her. She's the founder. She was the visionary of the organization when it first started. And my whole mission was to kind of help her. And again, it's turned into the best thing I've ever done in my life.
Wow, that's so cool. And can we share your phone number and email for people?
Yeah, sure. So phone number for Pansey Homecare is 860-212-6433. And my email is jfrancis@panseycare.com. That's JFRANCIS@panseycare.com.
Very cool.
Just like the flower.
Very cool, yeah. Pansey Home Care Services, and you've been doing that for 7 years.
8 years now. The business, we've been in business overall, as of this September, it'll be 11 years for us.
Wow. And where'd that inspiration, why did mom start that?
Yeah, I think we got to go back a little bit. So my mom, we're both immigrants from Jamaica. My mom came to America when I was not even 1 year old, and her whole thing was to, provide for the family and get us out of. It's a third world country at the end of the day, right? So when my mom came up, the first job that she got was being a CNA. So she went to CNA school, which back at those times was about 6 months. Fast forward to today's time is about 2 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah. So they need companies like ours that invest in trainings and stuff. But nonetheless, she started the organization after being a CNA for 30 plus years and thinking that it was something that she could do. She loved training. She was the leader of trainings for some of the nursing homes that she worked for. She brought on all the new caregivers, got them up to speed on what they're supposed to do. Especially as training started to get more dwindled in the home care process and the healthcare process. She was kind of the MVP of that. And I guess she always wanted to do something since like 1995. I just never knew about it. And in 2013, she acted on that vision.
Wow, 30 years in the making.
Yeah, she's a great lady.
Very cool. I know you have it. If your mom's happy, everybody's happy.
If mom's good, we're good.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, that's a great little slogan. So we got sponsors. We're here at Luna Pizza, 999 Farmington Avenue. How was the salad?
It's the best I've had.
I know. I asked him if he wanted pizza and wings. He says he's on a diet, but they
14 pounds. 14 pounds.
Great pizza here. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Direct Line Media. They do our podcast. Thank you, Brook Golf Law Group, Donut Crazy, Fix IV, Parkville Management, Keating Agency, and West Hartford Lock. So with West Hartford Lock, what are 3 keys that make you great at being a dementia practitioner?
Well, like I said at the beginning, continued education. We continue to learn more as we continue to learn more about dementia, right? Also being enthralled with what's going on with families. So I'm also an independent consultant. So I meet with a lot of families that we don't even help, right? We just provide insight and help them to kind of break through. So as we continue to meet with people, you continue to get more experience that sometimes you've walked through before, and sometimes it's your first time going through it. And the third thing to being a really good dementia practitioner, continued education, experience, and not pretending like you know everything. I guess, there's a saying within dementia, if you've met one person with dementia, you've met one person with dementia.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So even though everyone has a similar journey, everyone is different. So it impacts everyone differently. So staying curious and not thinking that you know everything, because you're going to see things that you haven't seen before.
Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, this touches close home to me. My grandfather passed away from Alzheimer's.
Thanks for sharing.
As a 7th grader, I remember seeing him, revving the car, starting it up, going to church at like 7 in the morning on a Tuesday, thinking it was Sunday. A memory that it's tough to share, but he wet himself one time, and I'm like, man, Grandpa, like seeing that as a child really stuck with me. I still remember this vision right now. So it's a very tough process. And, so families need assistance, and I could only imagine how many families you're helping. So, yeah, it hits me home, and I'm just happy to talk with you, and you're doing great things. So, yeah, thank you for doing that.
Thanks for sharing. Sharing.
I'm sure you have families going through very similar things.
Most definitely, and we've gone through it as well with our family. I remember my father's mother, when she came up here back in 2011 or 12, she ended up passing away from dementia as well. dementia-related symptoms, we would say. The final diagnosis was being malnourished, and she was being fed, right? It's just, unfortunately, the body was no longer able to process and break down the nutrients from the food that she was receiving. So unfortunately, when something like that happens, you're no longer going to survive, right? So I remember, like yesterday, I came home. I went to go visit her at the time at my parents' home here in West Hartford, and she wasn't home. So I called my dad. I said, hey, have grandma? She's not here. He was like, no, he's at work. So he rushed home, and we ended up going out and looking for her. It was the dead of winter. We ended up finding her. She was a couple streets over. She was barefoot in her nightgown, her nightie, as we would say in Jamaica, and had no recollection of what was going on. We kind of struggled to get her home. When we finally got her home, I've only seen my father cry or shed a tear once in my life, and that was the day. Not necessarily because of the situation that took place, but because at that time my grandmother didn't know who he was, couldn't remember him. He tried his best to get her to remember him. Like, again, I've never seen my father cry. He's not really an emotional person, but that got him, man.
Yeah.
And that happens to a lot of family members, right? Understanding A.S.A, as we call it, approach, skill, and ability. No one teaches you how to, help someone living with dementia. Everyone, I think, goes through it individually and try to find their own groove and rhythm with going back and forth in their daily interactions. But no one teaches you how to do those things, and you're hoping that you're doing it right. And more than anything, we just try to impart those three things in all of our care staff and all of our families: approach, skill, and ability. We train around it. We build programs around it so that we can help those family members as best as possible. But it's not just one-sided, right? That's just the family or the caregivers, if you will. There's also that person living with dementia.
Yeah.
And that's why approach, skill, and ability is important, because you're approaching them in the manner that's going to work best for them. You're helping them or assisting them and complimenting them on those abilities that might not necessarily still be there, right? And you learn the skills to be able to do that the most effective. And that's what our training process is all about.
Now, approach, skill, ability, is that something that your company made up, or is that universal?
No. So this is through Teepa Snow. Teepa Snow is amazing. I think she's probably the number one when it comes to dementia care. One of her slogans is, until there's a cure, there's care. Until there's a cure, there's care. And that's been a motto that we've adopted. So I'm in the process of being a mentor under her organization. Nice. So a lot of the teachings that I do is from what I've learned through Teepa. And of course through my own journey as well, but definitely from what I've learned through Teepa.
So interesting. So if you were to share with our listeners the difference, or pretend I teach third grade, if you're talking to a third grader, the difference between dementia and Alzheimer's.
Very simple, right? Dementia, Alzheimer's is a form of dementia.
Gotcha.
So just like you have different types of cancer, breast cancer, and so on and so forth, you have different types of dementia, and Alzheimer's happens to be the most common. That accounts for about 80% of people living with dementia. About 80% of them are living with Alzheimer's. So it's the most common type of dementia.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I don't know if I want to share, but I had my favorite teacher. I share every time. I just talked with the U.S. Secretary of Education, Dr. Miguel Cardona, and I shared that Mrs. Jarrell was my fifth grade teacher. Most important woman next to my mom. Helped me change my life. She was my fifth grade teacher. She went on to be the principal that hired me to be a teacher. So I taught at the same school, Kingsbury School in Waterbury. While working, she came to my room and knocked on the door and said, "Mr. Feeney, I think your student is here. I think I saw him in the hallway. Here's your student." I was like, "No, Mrs. Jarrell, that's a second grade student. He belongs on the floor below." A couple minutes later, Ms. Jarrell came back with the same student. "Mr. Feeney, this is your student." Come to find out she had onset of dementia, which led to Alzheimer's. So she had to retire early. And just so that also hits me. So I got Grandpa and Mrs. Jarrell, like two very important people in my world.
Wow.
That were affected by Alzheimer's. So another story to share, but not to get all emotional, but it's a touchy subject. How does that must hit home a lot. So do you take some of this home? Do you also see some therapy, or do you? I mean, it's not a happy subject, right? It's a tough, challenging.
It's definitely challenging, but we like to look at quality of life, and our motto is Purposeful Care. So we're not just looking at all of the sad, that comes along with it. We're trying to bring some light. As Ashley, our recruiter, says, we're trying to bring some sunshine in there. And for us, it's trying to figure out what this person liked doing, right? Those abilities that remained, and how we can adapt some of our day-to-day activities to still benefit them, and so they still are having purpose and good quality of life. So we like to look at the good too. But I'd be lying to say there's not a lot of, really sad, heavy moments, right? And that can be a lot. I do not have a therapist. I do have a mental health organization, however, with therapists. So probably not maybe I'm not practicing what I preach in a way. But yeah, no, I try my best as I can. My sister is a licensed mental health clinician who we started a business with, and she gets a lot of my I guess I do a lot of therapy sessions through her. But I think I've done a really good job of compartmentalizing. Yeah, it's heavy. I think more than anything, though, instead of kind of focusing on the heaviness of things, through everything that we're doing, it teaches you to be a better human being. And I think every day what I do feels good because I know I'm impacting someone else in a positive way, whether directly through my experience with them or indirectly through the support that I've provided through my care staff or the family members. And again, around that A.S.A, right, their approach, skill, and ability, and even helping them to break through barriers that they've faced along the journey.
Yeah, our motto, be a good friend. So you hold the door, pick up trash that's not yours, give a compliment, and be charitable. And you do a lot of things, you do more than that. You go above and beyond. So you are a good friend. I want to share a magnet. Please put that on your ride or your fridge.
And that's for sure.
Be a good friend. No, I'm really happy to talk with you. Again, long time coming. You mentioned earlier, but I'm glad you're here. And then also my grandfather had the date on a whiteboard. Today is Tuesday with the date. Do you see that? Is that a common thing?
Oh, yeah. So depending on, so dementia to me is brain change and brain failure. At least that's how I like to think about it. There is a scientific definition. I'd be lying to say I'm going to give it to you correctly right off the top of my head. But if you walk away from this episode wondering what is dementia, I think brain change and brain failure is an easy concept to remember.
Brain change and brain failure.
Yep. And there's a bunch of different parts of the brain. So depending on what part of the brain is impacted tells you what type of dementia it is. Alzheimer's does a lot with your left lobe as well as your right lobe. Rhythm, pattern, language, speech production, speech comprehension, those sort of things. So depending on what part of the brain is being impacted tells you what abilities are remaining, what will potentially change throughout the process as they're continuing down their journey, and what we can implement to assist them throughout this journey. So yes, like the whiteboard, for instance, that is something that you see because unfortunately some people might not be able to remember time, that right-hand side, the right lobe, right? And so you need those reminders to be able to keep that consistent and continue to, adapt and live a good quality of life.
Very interesting. Have you seen, there's this very powerful commercial. The woman sits down for dinner and she doesn't remember anyone, but they take out this old-fashioned car. You gotta look it up. It's like a Chevrolet commercial.
Yeah.
I'm getting like chills. It's like a old Wagoneer, like a 1950 Wagoneer. And they get in, the mom, like they're at dinner, she can't remember anyone. They get in the car, the daughter's driving the car, and then they show her like the old high school, the old movie theater, and she's like, okay, and she's in the car, she has the seat belt, and she sees the leather seats, and all of a sudden then she gets back to the house, she got it back. And it was like powerful. It was like a 2 to 3 minute commercial. Amazing. It's like, I think it's Chevrolet, Super Bowl commercial. That, and I think of The Notebook as well, a movie, The Notebook.
Never seen it.
Oh come on. Two things, yeah. Notebook is in another recommendation portion, haven't hit up yet. But I remember when I was dating my wife, or I was in the doghouse or something, and she was like, all right, to make it up for whatever I did, I don't know, there's so many things. To make it up to me, watch The Notebook with me. And I'm like, oh, this movie. By the end of it, I'm crying.
Stop.
Greatest movie I've ever seen. You got to see it, dude. Oh, my God. The Notebook. If you haven't seen it, leave me a note. The Notebook.
Okay.
And then the Chevrolet commercial. I think it's Chevrolet. We'll look it up later. But, oh, man.
Well, I just want to take this quick time to say shout out to Shanique, my fiance, holding down the fort. Next time I'm in the doghouse, just know I gave you a shout out on Friends of Feeney.
Make them watch The Notebook. Speaking of your wife, is this true? Confirm or deny?
Sure.
She's going to be a diplomat of the Senegal.
Not of Senegal. We don't know where she'll be stationed. However, currently she is a full-time graduate student at Yale. And she was given this through something with the government, which she's in training to be a diplomat. So last year, she spent 10 weeks in Washington in the diplomatic embassy. This year, she was in Senegal for 5 weeks, and next year, she'll be somewhere for another 10 weeks at the end of May after she graduates, all in preparations for sometime by the end of 2025. Again, just putting... I don't want to jinx us or anything, but yeah, by the end of 2025, the family will be stationed somewhere overseas for about 5 years, and she'll be a diplomat wherever she's stationed. She'll be the diplomat for that specific location.
Wow. There's this movie, I think it's a Steven Seagal movie, and the guy's like, I have diplomatic immunity. And Steven Seagal's like, not under my watch, and he like beats him up or something about diplomatic immunity. Whoa, diplomat.
When I think about diplomatic immunity, I'm thinking about Cameron, the diplomat, Dipset,
Dipset.
That's what I think about. I don't know if it. I
gotta
don't
get the diplomat's tea.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know how true or not that is, but this is a pretty great experience, and super duper smart. Proud of her. She's a very smart girl, and I'm looking forward to it too. I mean, it's a change in pace, change in environment. But I'm also looking to see how I can, bring some of this stuff that I've learned and, over to another place and see how they're living and how they're supporting their seniors and their family members. And
nice.
Who knows, maybe able to bring something back to Connecticut or the United States as well.
That's amazing. Well, shout out. She's my next podcast. Man, I should have had her. Why did I have you on this podcast?
You feel me? She's an awesome person.
Next, you're up. Oh, that's so cool. So she's at Yale.
She is, yes.
I went to Yale.
Word?
For a party once. I'm sorry. You like that one?
I do. I
did go to Southern Connecticut State University.
I went to
also
CCSU.
On Whaley Ave. Close enough, right?
It's close. CCSU, graduated and still in New Britain to this day.
Oh, nice. Hard hitting New Britain.
Hard hitting.
Yeah, you studied finance.
I did.
Graduated in 2011.
Correct, yes.
Talk about Central Connecticut.
Ooh.
The Blue Devils. We're the Fighting Owls. Hoot, hoot.
That's funny.
Was the finance help you in your position now?
I mean, yes, for sure. What lessons do I have that I remember off the top of my head? I don't know. Just being very honest with you. I think when I graduated, I think higher education is important and is necessary. I think undergrad, you're still kind of finding your way. And, you take your experience. If you're like me, you take your experience and you gain your experience, and then you have a better understanding if you want to pursue higher education, what it would be in. And for me nowadays, I'm thinking more like organizational operations and utilization optimization, mixed with some psychology. But finance was, I think it was important. I'm definitely a stickler for numbers, money, all of which, I spend a lot of time looking over our numbers on a regular basis. I do all of our accounting as well. So to some degree, I would definitely say yes, it helped. But I think more so undergrad, it was really about finding yourself. And, if you're lucky, Kobe Bryant usually says, the lucky find their purpose young in life, and they're able to pursue it. And who would have known dementia and senior care was going to be my purpose? And I think I started along those journeys with my mom when I was 26 years old. So
very nice. Now, when you graduated finance, did you get into the internship with Dennis House to go into the sports thing, or was that before?
No, that was even after.
Way after?
Yeah, when I initially graduated, I started working at Nutmeg State, actually. And then not even a few months later, I started working at this company called FM Facility Maintenance. I did everything from customer service to contract department to accounts payable and receivable, and then transitioned over to Cigna as an analyst with Cigna. So that's what I was doing, and my boss at the time, her name is Kate. I don't know if she still knows I even remember her, but Kate, she was awesome. She afforded me the opportunity to work from home 2 days out of the week. The normal schedule at the time was just 1 day, but I utilized that, and she knew it, to leverage myself to work at Channel 3 along Dennis House and the two of them. So an analyst by day and a sports media journalist by night.
Very cool. Keep him busy.
Yeah, it was fun.
So what are some symptoms for our listeners if they see an elderly person that they love starting to show, or signs or symptoms to maybe reach out to you, and if there's something that you can do? What would someone be looking for?
Quite honestly, I think the easiest thing to do is you got to know the person, right? You can't just assume that someone is acting quote unquote weird, right? For a lack of better terms, you have to know the person. And if you do know the person and you understand where their baseline was, at that point, when you see a change within who you knew and what this person was, that's a good time to try and, hey, I'm noticing some change. And at that point in time, I think or for anybody, generally speaking, I think it's a good opportunity to start questioning whether or not it might be something cognitively related. But I would think, instead of just kind of throwing anything out, you got to start by knowing the person and understanding what their baseline was before you can start making any sort of guesstimates. Memory, like forgetfulness, is that dementia? No, we all have forgetfulness. There's a term called sundowning. Have you ever heard of it?
Where at night it starts to shut down, or no?
Oh, so kind of slowly.
Okay. Using my context clues.
So sundowning is a common term that's used that describes like a change in behavior, particularly for people with dementia, as the sun goes down.
Okay.
So a lot of times what people do is they think that because the sun goes down, people's behaviors start to change, but it's not so. We go through sundowning as well, right? It's a very human experience. Thing, right? Exactly. Your circadian rhythm. You're not the same, person. You're not the same Eric that you are, at 10 o'clock in the day, that you might be at 6 o'clock, that you might be at 10 o'clock at night. Yep. If you had a child like me and the child is crying at 1 o'clock in the morning and you can't get any sleep, you might also still not be that same person, right? So again, it truly goes back down to baseline when you're assessing anything about somebody. So you got to know that person before you can start even trying to guesstimate about any kind of changes, and as well as the situation that you're with, that you're seeing that person within that light in, because the situation can play a big part as well.
Now they start to see these signs and symptoms. Mm-hmm. What could be their next step? Would they just reach out to their daily, their home care provider, or would they just go straight to you, or how does that work?
As a consultant, sure. Yeah, you could definitely give us a call or give me a call. And we actually practice the consulting through our mental health organization. So you can definitely give us a call and we'd help you and kind of more so navigate you towards these solutions that you'd be looking for. The thing is, a lot of people just don't know. However, first step, I would always say, talk to your doctor. Unfortunately, some doctors still might not, even during these times, believe it or not, still might not be aware of what to do next, what your next steps might be. But I would go from your doctor to potentially setting up an appointment with a neurologist, right? Hate to jump that far, but depending on what your situation is, that might be the next step. Or they're here in Connecticut. If you live here in Connecticut, Hartford Hospital has an area agency on aging. UConn Hospital actually just won a grant for, I believe it's navigators, so specific for dementia. So those are also programs that you can reach out to, and these navigators, much like myself as well, will start to point you in the right direction. But for those individuals that, hey, I'm just seeing some new change, it's nothing crazy, it's nothing serious, I don't know what to do, I would start by start documenting things so that you can start journaling those changes.
Oh, yeah. Smart to journal.
100%. And then I would make sure that I'm talking to my PCP and, depending on where those conversations go, a neurologist.
And then do you use medical insurance? Do you get covered by medical insurance, or is it private pay, medical insurance? How does that work?
Yeah, it's always bittersweet when I talk about something like this, because unfortunately, healthcare does not cover the cost of home care, because we are non-medical, right? We're not doing anything medical. We're not dressing wounds, pre-pouring medication, things like that, right? Yeah. So unfortunately, healthcare doesn't cover our costs. So we are out of pocket. There are things like the Title 19 waivers program here in Connecticut. Those are for people that are either 65 or older or have one or more disabilities. People usually get on those programs, or that aren't financially affluent, get on the program so they can receive these services without paying for it themselves. But for the most part, my clients are majority paying out of pocket for these services.
And is Alzheimer's and dementia, is that hereditary? Does that run in the family?
So there are risk factors, right? And your hereditary can be a risk factor, is a risk factor. Now, to what degree, I don't have that answer right off the top of my head for you, but it's not as big as like lifestyle risk factors. So sleeping, not getting enough sleep, it can be detrimental for you. Smoking, consistent drinking, all of those things can have a negative impact or increase your risk of developing dementia as you get older. And here's a good one for you. I'm glad you got the salad today, right? Because a statistic that was revealed last year was if processed foods accounts for somewhere around 20% of your intake, your weekly intake, it can increase your risk factor of developing dementia by up to 30%.
Yeah,
right?
Processed food. Right?
Processed foods.
Yes. That was my next question. Diet and health. How much does that affect? Exercise is good no matter what.
Yeah.
For anything.
Yeah.
We're going to lose 14 pounds. You're hitting what's the spot in New Brand?
Where to get it on that? Doomsday.
Doomsday. Shout out Doomsday. I'm just doing push-ups at camp, so I don't know if that works, but we'll see. So health, running, fitness, very important.
Yep.
Physically and mentally. Diet. Now, I looked up we're going to have some misconceptions and conspiracies. You can either confirm or deny that veganism leads to dementia or Alzheimer's. Have you heard that?
I have not heard that. What I do know for a fact, though, is having a healthy diet, more so the Mediterranean diet is kind of the ideal diet for avoiding or for decreasing your risk factors for developing dementia. Is the Mediterranean diet might be the most optimal, but I have not heard that veganism increases these risk factors.
And what about it's grass-fed meat is good, eggs good, chicken and kale. So a 50-50 is also really good. Kale, chicken.
Yeah, so, because I'm not a scientist nor a neurologist, I don't have all these numbers off the top of my head, but I just know like having a healthy diet, and again, trying to avoid processed foods as much as you can.
What about this one? This is microdosing nicotine. A little bit of nicotine, I heard it, is good. This was on Alzheimer's.gov. You're here,
If
Jonah.
they have it, then it's a fact.
You're the pro.
If they got it, then it's a fact. I don't speak about things that I don't know, but I would love to look that one up.
And do you know who Max Lugevere is?
I do not. Who's that?
Max Lugevere. Max Lugevere is the Genius Life podcast. He just did a movie called Empty Little Boxes. He made this movie for 10 years. He followed his mother, who has dementia, and he tracked her for 10 years and made a movie about it. He talks about genius foods. He has books. He's an author. He's a podcaster. So Max Lugevere. Max Lugevere. I don't know. I thought it was interesting, and it made a connection. So you're gonna watch The Notebook and look up Max Lugevere.
Max Lugevere. Got a nice name too. I mean, researching things like this is really great. There's also a lot of people that has gone through these experiences that's documented it utilizing books, right? I don't have any of those authors off top of the head either, but that's not necessarily, the movie itself is a good thing, but it's not necessarily like the documentation of the journey. It's not like the first time I've heard of someone documenting this journey. And people doing that definitely helps us all out, because we get to see what it is. We get to have a different level of empathy towards this journey and the families. If you do this for me really quickly, just do this for me.
Okay, me?
Yeah. So usually when dementia gets this big, people start to, we need to spend this much time, right?
Okay.
What that means is you as a family member, as your world starts, as dementia starts to get this big, your world starts to shrink. But also everything within you, you need time to take care of yourself. So we say for you to spend this much time, because you need to kind of offset, if you can, financially or through help of other care partners. If you can, you need time to refresh yourself so you can continue to support this person. But back to kind of the whole concept, documenting the journey is a very big thing that people like to do, that we've seen people do, and it helps all of us to understand this journey a little bit better.
Yeah, empty little boxes.
Little boxes.
What do you think The Notebook, what do you think he does with The Notebook? In the Notebook movie, that's why it's named The Notebook, he documents everything. When he reads it back to his wife, she comes to a little bit.
Oh, so she had like so she was involved in a car accident. No? See, I'm thinking about a different movie here.
And what about technology? Technology is bad for ADD. Technology is bad for the use of technology. Looking at the screens. Has there studies on that leading to dementia or Alzheimer's?
There might be. I don't have any off top of the head, but there are a lot of useful technology for monitoring, tracking, communicating, and continuing to give that person the social factors that they need. You know that there's a bunch of like assisted livings, independent livings, which are great. But unfortunately, a lot of people can't afford that, and that's not going to be the norm for the majority of seniors growing up. So, just like I said, as a caregiver, when dementia gets this big, you gotta spend this much time. But vice versa for someone living with dementia, when dementia gets this big, their world gets this small. And that also means that they're not seeing people anymore. People start to separate. Families start to fall apart because of, misconceptions with this journey and the struggles about this journey. So it's very important for us to just keep in mind that we got to develop and utilize technology to keep these people social. If COVID taught us anything, it was that, keeping social is going to actually improve our cognitive ability and decrease the chances of depression and dementia.
During COVID, they did a huge initiative to get iPads into senior homes because they weren't getting visited as much, and they missed family members. And a lot of people were passing away due to loneliness. Loneliness is a very terrible, all ages. There's this wonderful nonprofit, All Ages. They're connecting young people with older people through pen paling, through art projects, through fishing. And that loneliness piece is, it can be people dying of broken hearts.
100%. Just like with, Joe Pertino, if there's the one thing I remember about that story is, you took his love from him, and, he didn't last more than a couple months, if I'm remembering correctly. So again, purpose means a lot to us as human beings.
You do see that a lot too. When someone retires, they worked at this job for 40 years. The next thing you know, they retire and then they pass, really, because your body's so used to doing something.
That was a part of their identity. Yeah. Right. And even with, you take somebody like that might develop dementia, and I say might because you don't know where the dementia might lead them. But I think that you shared with your grandfather that's, got up to go to work, right? That was a part of his identity. So what time period was his mind in at that specific situation when you were a child and you saw your grandfather, right? So we always got to keep those things in mind. Even, again, going right back, approach, skill, and ability, we have to keep in mind where that person is at before we step to them to approach them.
Wow. I'm a lifelong learner. I'm a teacher for 20 years. I'm learning so much. So thank you again. This is a very educational podcast. Dementia and Alzheimer's hit close to home. So I'm very glad to finally talk and get some understanding about it. And you're very knowledgeable and you know your stuff. So that 40 under 40 was well deserved.
I appreciate it. a lot of great people that helped me to make that happen. Big shout out to Rick Bush.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I think Rick is the one
He needs
that
to be
submitted.
a podcast guest.
He should. I think Rick is the one that submitted the thing on my behalf.
Okay.
So, thank you, Rick. I appreciate it. That was a bucket list goal of mine. So thank you so much for making that happen.
Rick
for
is
me.
a good friend. We've collaborated on multiple fundraisers. He is a wonderful heart, good person.
Big time. I would definitely say a bit of a mentor for me as well throughout this journey that I've been on with entrepreneurship. But you had sent me a question, and I kind of keep seeing
Rick Bush a selfie. Rick Bush, go ahead. I sent you
the question, and I think it was your teachers. I don't mean to kind of swing it, but I keep finding so much parallels between these things, and it had me thinking, and I was like, oh, what teacher? Like, I don't remember, but it was when I was younger, I was in the EOP program, the Equal Opportunity Program. When I was in high school, I didn't think my parents had the money for me to go to college, so I didn't apply to any colleges. And, that killed my mom. So last minute, I think it was like somewhere around April or May, we went and spoke to our guidance counselor at the time, and she said, you know what, I think CCSU has this program. It's too late to get into a college, but I think CCSU has this program. If you pass the program, you can get into CCSU. I had good grades. I just didn't think my parents had the, financial ability to help go to college. So anyways, went through the program. I went to interview for the program, and it was with Dr. Henry Pacheco, one of the two, Dr. Pacheco. Could never forget the name. He ran the EOP program, again, the Equal Opportunity Program, and I remember. And at the time, it felt like it was nonsense. It felt like it was just like, yeah, whatever. I don't believe you. But he said, it's not about what you know, it's who you know. And this was Jonah as an 18-year-old trying to get into college on a whim, right? And again, during that interview, I was just like, whatever. But he preached it throughout the entire Equal Opportunity Program. And to this day, I can literally come to you and sit in front of you and say, I agree with him. Still, to a degree, right? You still got to know your stuff.
Yeah.
But being given opportunities that, quite frankly, I would have never received from just knowing what I know, my life has truly been a story of being blessed by a lot of individuals.
Yeah. That's a fantastic story. That's so cool. I didn't know if I was going to go to school either, and I joined the Army National Guard. Helped me pay for school. That's what allowed me to go to Southern. So
thanks for the service.
Right? You got to thank you. And I was just do what you can. Keep chugging along and doing the best that you can. And then, who you know. I had some wonderful teachers. Again, Mrs. Jarrell, favorite teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Krill, my football coach and high school chemistry teacher. My college professor. What's his name? Dr. Ryan was a great guy. So just throughout your life, all these steps. And I try to be someone's Mrs. Jarrell.
Oh man, you know who else was pretty awesome back in high school?
Where'd you go to high school?
Conard.
Oh, you're a West Hartford guy. Conard.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Oh man, and I want to give him a big shout out to Cedric.
Elementary school.
Yeah. No, sorry. Cedric
was middle school.
And then Smith.
Nice.
Yeah.
Smith School's great.
Smith was great.
Was it STEM then? STEM school? I
don't know. But what I do remember was I started at Smith School when I came up, because when I came up to the United States, I was 7 years old. And at one point, they said that my accent was too thick, so they couldn't understand me, so they put me in, what was it, the special ed courses.
Not English second language? ESOL?
No, we're in Jamaica, like.
Oh, you're in Jamaica?
Yeah, we came up here, but I was born in Jamaica. Like, you speak English. It's just more so broken English. If you want to call it patois, then you say patois, but it's just more so broken English, right? Instead of hey, what's up? It's wagwan or something like that, right?
What's going on? Wagwan.
Exactly. Like, it's broken English.
Like, you don't say I, you say me.
It all depends on who you're speaking to, right? Everyone gets taught regular English, and for the most part, depending on your financial status, sometimes.
My you?
My
people, my children.
Exactly. It's just broken English. It's different, and every language has slangs, and every part of the different parts of America has different slangs that we probably wouldn't be able to pick up on. But long story short, they put me in special ed classes. And I'm the type of person, like, I'll coast until I don't feel like coasting anymore. So I was in some special ed courses right up until ninth grade. And I remember I was in ninth grade, and I said to my mom at the beginning of the semester, I said, I feel like I could run the course, Mom. And she goes, yeah, you probably can. And I go, I think maybe I should not be in special ed courses. So we ended up going and taking. So we went and took a test. And I got placed in 4 AP classes based on the test. And I don't even know where it's going with the story, but I just remember, man, it was just really funny, like, growing up and how some biases can be placed on children, depending on anything, right? Again, in my case, it was, we can't understand you.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you sound like a very smart person to me. You know your stuff, and everyone has that life challenge or their own path. Everyone has a path.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't remember where I was going with the story. I'm sure there's
favorite
something,
teacher. It started favorite teacher.
Oh, yes. And so at that time it was, so this specific teacher during special ed, she followed me all the way from Smith Elementary School all the way up until ninth grade.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like I know she wasn't doing it for me, but she was with me the whole time. So she went from Cedric, and then she followed us to 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, and then right into ninth grade as well.
Remember her name?
I don't, man. I don't, and it hurts my soul, man. I don't, but she was awesome.
Very cool. That is a good moment with a teacher, and
right?
Going above and beyond.
We need more of those type of teachers today. I'm sure there are a lot of them.
There are. Teaching is a tough profession. I just finished 20 years, 9 years at Kingsbury School with Mrs. Jarrell, my school that I taught at and went to as a kid. 11 years at Woolka Elementary School where my daughters went, so that was really cool.
Elementary school at that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I teach, 3rd grade. I graduated 3rd grade for the past 20 years in a row.
Wow. You're good.
Oh, yeah, it's fun.
I would assume you're good with kids.
I like it. I like it a lot. And, honored to be a finalist of Teacher of the Year a couple years ago.
Wow, yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you. So top 3.
Yeah.
Out of there's 1,100 teachers in West Hartford.
So what makes for a great teacher?
Passion, patience, content knowledge, building rapport and relationships.
Okay.
And, instruction, teaching a good lesson, engagement.
I think I find like engagement is everything.
Yeah.
Communication, presentation. One things, again, I'm trained on is a 50-50 mix, right? So you bring 50% and your participants bring the other 50%.
Okay.
It's how I've tried to kind of
50-50 mix. I like it.
Do everything.
Yeah, we keep our math lesson to 10 minutes, and then off you go. We don't want them sitting. They're 7. They can't sit there and like listen to me the whole time.
Yeah.
So keep it, and then break them into differentiating levels.
Yeah.
Because everyone learns it a different way. So
100%.
A small group is very important. One kids get a little more enrichment. One kids get on level. Some kids get some reteaching.
Yep.
So you you meet them where they are, so.
Yeah, and a bunch of different examples to hit on everyone's different learning style.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah. What grade your kid going into? Your oldest?
No grade. He's still in not even preschool, daycare.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. 2 years old in a week. Like,
2.
Yeah. They say terrible twos, but he's an all-star, man. I don't see the terribleness. His sister, on the other hand, at 2 months.
Coming for you.
Yeah, but I like it. I love being a father. I didn't want children when I was younger because, again, like my youngest sister's 15 years younger. However, I was positive I wasn't going to be a father, but God had other plans for me. And it's been, again, the best blessing of my life.
Yeah, no, it's an amazing thing. My girls they're getting so old now, and it happens fast. They're babies. They're 2. Next thing you know, they're 15. It just flies by. And someone always told me that. My father-in-law said that. It flies by. I'm like, yeah. And here I am. Where did it go? It's amazing. It's just crazy. Yeah, Jonah Francis. So you got some hobbies. We're here with Jonah Francis, dementia practitioner from Pansey Homecare Services. You've helped over 700 families in the Hartford County, probably more now.
Yeah, a lot more than that now. But yes, most definitely. We believe we're a full family service. So you might be calling us to support with your loved one. However, as you go through our process, we're trying to figure out what your goals are, as well as what the goals for the person is that we're caring for, because those things are aligned.
Nice. I got to just share some upcoming events. Hopefully you don't mind. Upcoming events. Do you golf?
I've done it twice in my life now, both times this year.
Oh, very nice. Do you volunteer?
Yeah, yes.
Do you sponsor? Do you want to sponsor? Homecare. We could have a nice Homecare sign at on our first tee. We'll put you on the first tee. But our tee signs go for $150. So every golfer will get to the box, see your tee sign. You could leave your information, your logo.
I could definitely commit to that.
And then we have an opportunity for $1,000, you could sponsor a specialty hole. That's just a hole-in-one hole. Mm-hmm. If the winner hits it, they get a car. Or $10,000. $10,000.
I mean, either way.
Longest drive, closest to the tee, and then hole-in-one. So those are specialty holes for $1,000. So you'll be the only sign at that hole. So we're looking out for some sponsors. I just want to shout out some current sponsors. Amazon is our technology sponsor in Windsor. They're our technology sponsor for 3 years in a row. They donated $5,000, and they donated the bags, the balls, and the snacks. Amazon in Windsor, BDL4, thank you so much. Go back and check Omar, episode 109. He is the operational manager. 109 was a special episode at Maximum Beverage. King of Dings, thank you to my guy Kevin. If you ever get a dent in your car, see King of Dings. They sponsored the flag tees. KG Kina Memorial, TSKP Studio, People's Bank, Flow Tech, High Meadow Day Camp is a sponsor, Anthony's Abatement, and the Greater Hartford Lions Club. So those are our current sponsors right now. Thank you for your sponsorship. Again, if you want to sponsor, click this QR code. As you can see, it's $650 for foursome. It starts at 9 a.m., September 14th. This is our third annual, and we're looking for sponsors and golfers. So please, make this your third time to golf.
That sounds like what I'll probably be doing.
And then we have another game, another fun event, Hartford Yard Goats, Friday, August 16th. Friends of Nicholas Parenti, unfortunately, is no longer with us. This was his last family event. He saved his energy for 2 weeks. Was surrounded by 220 of his friends and family. He passed away 2 weeks later. So every year we honor him with our Friends of Nicholas game, Hartford Yard Goats. Both of his parents are West Hartford teachers. Very important, very special people. So those are two events. We also have Muzzy Field in Bristol, July 13th. Muzzy Field, that's where the Parentis are from, Bristol. The Bristol mayor will be there. Friends of Feeney is going to have a booth. It's going to be a great time. So Muzzy Field, July 13th. Yard Goats, Friday, August 16th. Golf, September 14th. Which one are you more likely to go? If you had to start, sit, or cut my three events, which one are you going to start, the most likely going to go to? Which one are you going to sit that you're kind of going to go to? And which one are you going to cut, like you're definitely not going to?
Yeah, probably golf. Like I'm really bad with golf, but I'm going to start there because, I mean, golf seems to be a gentleman's sport. Right? No more basketball these days, so you got to do something else. I'd probably sit with the Yard Goats event. I mean, an amazing story, an amazing thing. So I think maybe I'll even still donate in regards to that too. And then the last event,
Muzzy Field, another baseball game.
Yeah, yeah. We're not big baseball people, in my household. Basketball mostly.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then you have another hobby, basketball. You coach West Hartford Youth.
I did. Yeah.
And it has to do with camera.
Oh yeah, photography. Photography was really fun. And I picked it up when I was a sports journalist. And I mean, for a long time, you couldn't see me without a camera tied next to me. So it was really fun. I took a lot of pictures of my children as well. I don't do it so much nowadays, just because no kids to two. But yeah, it's definitely still a passion of mine. I love being behind the lens.
Yeah, that's funny that you say that. Our last guest for 111, Dan Fritz, is a photographer, and he takes pictures of basketball. This is some of his photos. We went over these in episode 111. He goes to Rutgers. He traveled with, he went to the NBA All-Star game. He worked with NBA Africa. He is he travels with the team, Rutgers. He takes pictures. Dan Fritz of Fritz Photos. Do you know who that is?
I don't, but let me see some more of these pictures.
Donovan Clingan,
Yeah.
number 7 pick of the draft.
Of course I know what those are. Martin Edwards.
Anthony Edwards. He took all these picks.
Bronny.
Bronny is the 55th pick of the draft.
Yeah, to my Lakers. Let's go.
Can you beat Bronny one-on-one?
Heck no.
Oh, did you just say my Lakers?
Oh, yeah. I'm a Lakers fan.
All right, cut the podcast. Starting over.
Stop.
Sorry. Ladies and gentlemen, good night.
Stop.
Go Knicks.
Oh, you're not even a Celtics fan. You're a Knicks fan? There's no rivalry here.
So check this story out. These are number 2 player in the year, the 2-star pick, and the 4-star pick. The top 5 players, 2 of the top 5 are going to Rutgers University.
Oh, wow.
Forgot their names.
And
but
he took those pictures, too.
he took these pictures, too.
Talented guy.
Very talented. Dan Fritz.
Oh, yeah. This guy is really good. He's going to Duke this year.
Yep, very good. Cooper Flagg. He's the main event because he's from Maine. Cooper Flagg.
See what you did
Duke.
there.
See what I did there? Oh, this is my guy. He was a Knick.
Yep.
Obi Toppin.
Now he's a Pacer.
Oops. This guy's from Lithuania. Matos. But he was a draft pick. I forgot to look up when he was drafted. But, yeah, he took all these picks. He took many more that we went over last week. But they're beautiful pictures, very talented. And I wanted to connect because I saw that you do photos and you played hoop. You coached youth basketball for 7 years.
Yeah.
You didn't even have a kid on the team?
Nah, in town. And that's also how me and Rick got so close, too, because we actually coached on the same – we actually coached the same team as well.
He coaches. I knew
Yeah.
that. So he played for UConn.
He did. He has a little glory story. He won't let anyone forget about it.
Yeah, he scored.
He did. I don't know how much he scored, but, I mean, he still got some skills.
No, he just dominated. I play against him every morning. That's how I know him. Well, not every morning. I used to play. He's really good. Rick Bush.
He was pretty good. It's pretty good. He knows his stuff. I'm comparing Rick now to me now, or Rick a couple years ago to me a couple years ago. Not Rick, the UConn legend, right? Which he kicked my butt.
I like doubted him once. I was like, come on, yeah, right. He pulled up video, old school VHS video. It was like a video off the TV that was like waving, and he had the camera in his phone.
That's Rick for you. He'll even pull up the article in the paper from that one time they caught him dunking.
He's the El Bundy. He scored 4 touchdowns in one game. Rick Bush. No, he just, again, this was 2 years ago. He bet someone $100 that he can dunk.
Yeah. I think he does it every year.
Did he pay or get
I don't know. He does it every year. He always keeps trying. But, I mean, let's be honest here, Rick. You got some height on you, my friend. We're kind of expecting for you to be able to do a little some.
Rick Bush.
Those 2 inches you get off the ground, man.
Right? You're already like 6'4", 6'5".
Right.
Your long arms.
But still, to dunk at 50 years old is 50 plus now. Either way, 50 years old is a feat within itself.
Yeah. No, he was hustling. We played at this guy's Ford's house in the morning, and then he played JCC over 30 men's league. You should get in that league. You're a little busy right now, though.
Right now.
Couple years.
When I'm back from overseas with that diplomat wife, I'm going to stop. But yeah, probably.
Diplomat. That's amazing. I can't wait. Can you suggest that she be a podcast guest? Can you talk that up?
Sure, I'll talk to her.
Thank you so much.
African studies. She's been to Ghana. Now she just came back from Senegal, which I went and visited for a few days as well. It's nice to get out of the country and see how others are living. And we were smack dab in Dakar, so the capital of Senegal. We got to experience how people are living in another country. So it was pretty cool.
Wow, very cool. Again, Jonah Francis, dementia practitioner, owner of Pansey Homecare Services. Owner or president, CEO?
Co-owner.
Co-owner.
Yeah, me and my mama.
Mama. If mom's good,
we're good.
We're good.
That's a fact.
I love it. He's on the board of the ALZ Association, vice chairman of Homecare Association of America. and recent winner of 40 Under 40.
Thank you. And I don't want to leave it out there, too. I mean, 100 Men of Color, that was a really big one for me, too, which I received all in the same year. So last year was both of those. So that was a really good feat for me as well. I felt really proud of, just as proud.
It's not on your LinkedIn page, man. I'm sorry I missed it.
Oh, well, now I got to update my stuff, right?
Please
but
do.
But yeah, I mean.
Now, when and where was that?
Congratulations, it was at the
on that
Bushnell.
as well.
Thank you. It was at the Bushnell, and I believe it was September, October. It was October, I believe. So it was. I just don't want to leave it off because obviously I'm black, and it's important as well, and especially now that I have children, I want to make sure that they're also proud human beings, of course, but proud black people as well. And so that award meant just as much to me as the 40 Under 40.
Yeah, true honor. Yeah, definitely humble brag. Be proud.
Definitely,
you earned it. Well deserved.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And I had a wonderful time talking with you.
Thank you.
Do you want to do some recommendations of podcasts, movie, books, websites?
From good to great. I love that book. Customer service centric. Another book. Great CEOs Are Lazy.
Really?
Yes.
Why is that so true?
Well, I mean, I think it's, goes back to that old saying where I don't know if it was like the Apple person that, hey, if I want to find a better way or a more efficient way to do something, I give it to the lazy person on the team and they'll figure it out. I think that's the same thing when it comes to systematizing things, processes to get out of your own way. And it goes over the 5 keys that the 5 hats that all CEOs should wear, and like quote unquote, how much time you should spend within each of those hats, and depending on your situation. So it breaks those things down as well. Really good read. And right now, the last one I'd recommend is Who Moved My Cheese? I got a copy for everyone in my office. Love that book. If you're dealing with any change in your life, Who Moved My Cheese is a great, fast, like super fast. It's all of and it's big words too. It's like all of 150 pages. You can get through it within 90 minutes. It's a really great read.
That's my kind of read right there.
Right?
Any questions for me?
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess you said it in your podcast or the introduction. You started it. Repeat why you started the podcast.
Oh, yeah. So the nonprofit Friends of Feeney. So I'm a teacher. Best job in the world. Brings me so much joy, but sometimes they're heartbreak or tragedy. 11 years ago, one of my students lost their dads.
Oh.
Unexpected heart attack. And we did GoFundMe. We raised money. But the GoFundMe takes a portion of every donation and taxes the recipient at the end.
Yeah.
The following year, one of my students' dads got shot and killed in Hartford. So 2 years in a row. I was a new dad. My girls were young. I had to do something. I'm from a divorced family. I knew how it was not to see my dad every once in a while. Wow. Could never imagine never seeing him again. So I empathized. And we started a nonprofit. And since then, we've helped over 67 families and raised over $190,000. All volunteer-based, grassroots community organization, working with wonderful people in the community like yourself, like Luna Pizza, like Direct Line Media, like everyone that sponsors our golf tournament. And the West Hartford community is great. The West Hartford Chamber is great. All these networking continues to grow, and we can continue to help more people. We just helped 7 families last month alone. House got struck by lightning, a death of a mom, sickness to a child, cancer. So there's always something, and our name and our mission is spreading, and we're helping more people, and that's our goal. And yeah, so keep it up. Thank you.
Wow. And I guess the only other question is this meant to be a smile?
Oh, does it? It does look like a smile. Never thought of that.
I've always thought of it as like friends, be a friend.
The
so
two
like a shade with a smile, like someone has some glasses on with a smile. That's all. Whenever I see it, that's what I always picture. It looks good.
Very cool. Well, it was again wonderful talking with you, Jonah Francis.
Thanks for having me.
Dementia
I appreciate
Practitioner.
the time.
It was a very educational podcast. So on 3, we'll say be a good friend.
Yes.
1, 2, 3.
Be a good friend.